What's up, folks? It's Dr. Remy LeBeau, and I'm here to tell you my thoughts, spoiler-free, on a really fantastic film I just watched called, what was the name of it again? Oh yeah, Guardians of the fucking Galaxy. This movie was fantastic. Alright, so the film did everything that I wanted it to do and more. So I always knew going into this film and just going into the months of waiting for the film to come out and, like, you know, hearing all the hoopla about it, like, I knew that it was just another component of this larger story that Marvel's telling, which is essentially the Infinity Gauntlet. For those of you that don't know, the Infinity Gauntlet is a storyline that was told in Marvel Comics in the 90s. It was like a crossover of all the Marvel characters, and it involved Thanos, a character that was introduced at the end of the Avengers and played a role in this film, but not a huge one, but enough to the point where we got, you know, the taste that we needed. In which he gets this thing called the Infinity Gauntlet, in which he uses 6 gems, each of which have a distinct power to gain omnipotence, which means, like, just all-powerfulness, the ability to control space, time, the mind, have unlimited power, I said time already. Anyway, it's this huge story, and Marvel's been telling this story since Captain America, the first Avenger. That's when they introduced the first Infinity Gem, which was revealed to be an Infinity Gem as the Tesseract, the cosmic cube that the Red Skull was after, that Loki then wanted, and Loki was trying to get it for Thanos, it turns out, in Avengers. Well, at the end of Thor 2, it was revealed that that was one of the Infinity Gems, and then the ether, the MacGuffin, the thing that was driving the story that the Dark Elves wanted in Thor the Dark World, also turned out to be an Infinity Gem. And so those are 2 Infinity Gems, and this film, Guardians of the Galaxy, deals with another Infinity Gem. So that's the 3rd Infinity Gem. And so that's 3 out of 6 Infinity Gems. And in fact, at Comic-Con this last weekend, I forget what his name is, the guy that was in Goonies, he came out at the end with the Infinity Gauntlet. He's the guy that plays Thanos. Anyway, the Marvel Studios have been building up to the Infinity Gauntlet, which will be likely the Avengers 3 sort of main storyline, what everything will build to in all the subsequent Marvel films that come out. And what Guardians of the Galaxy was just another part of that puzzle. But the amazing thing about it was that it wasn't just that. It wasn't just like another part of this puzzle. It was actually its own film, in which this fantastic array of, like, characters and worlds was introduced in a way that was just so successful. Like, everything was just so well done, and that it all worked, and it worked so well. So the pacing was fantastic. There was so much to tell with the story, but, like, there weren't any moments where I felt like they were just kind of, like, dragging us along. I felt that every moment, like, you know, led to another moment, and even in these weird moments when, like, things were happening that were kind of complicated and like kind of was hard. It would normally be like moments where it would be hard to stay grounded in a film for, like, the average film goer. I felt grounded. I felt grounded throughout it, and they found time to, like, give us insight into the characters during the craziness. Like, we got to know these characters. We got to know who they are. Ultimately, what the film was about these 5 characters becoming the Guardians of the Galaxy, becoming a team of intergalactic superheroes. That's ultimately what the film was about, even though it is another portion of the Infinity Gauntlet story. Beyond that, as a standalone film, as sort of the heart of the film, it it had this fantastic story of these like 5 weird characters that were being introduced in this like really strange like world where you have like different planetary cultures warring and like all sorts of like mythology and just like exposition being told to us about like all sorts of things. And in the heart of that, we were being introduced individually into these characters that are just so weird and interesting. And the way it was done, it made us care about them. So I cared about the characters. And as the story progressed, which was crazy and fun and exciting and just off the wall awesome, there were these great moments where like we actually got to know the characters and got to know why their connections were being formed. Like, what was it about the moments and the reactions of the characters in those moments that was driving them to form bonds that were actually solid enough to form a foundation for this intergalactic group of anti-heroes that are the Guardians of the Galaxy. The film did an excellent job of doing that. Visual design, fantastic. Cinematography, amazing. Filmmaking overall, direction, just incredible. Writing, fantastic. I'm just like vomiting compliments because that's all I can do. Let me just now put this film within sort of the greater sort of pantheon of Marvel films. Like, how does this film rank amongst the other great Marvel films? Well, recently we had Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which I thought was pretty fucking fantastic. The Avengers, for me, is at the top because Joss Whedon is a god to me. I used to watch Buffy growing up and Angel growing up, and so he is just like everything. And when I heard he was doing Avengers, I knew he was going to kill it, and he did. He brought these characters together, and he basically made, for the first time in history, the sequel to, I think, 4 different films at the same time, and it worked. So the sequel to The Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. Just, the Avengers was the sequel to 4 films at the same time, and he pulled it off. So, fantastic. That is the top one for me. I think Captain America, The Winter Soldier, and Thor are 2 great films, and they're kind of on par with each other. I think I would put them next. And then I think I would put Guardians of the Galaxy after that, and then I would put maybe like Iron Man 3 and Iron Man 1 kind of on par, and then maybe like Iron Man 2 and the first Captain America and Thor as on the next tier. So this is pretty high up there for me as far as these films go, and really the whole story encompassed by all these films is great to me. So all of them are great. Like, even if you're at the bottom of this list, you're fantastic. So Iron Man 2, great. I really enjoyed Iron Man 2. I know some people don't like it, but I really enjoyed it. And just the fact that all these films encompass a bigger story, and that it's all connected and it works really nicely, yet at the same time tell their own stories, is just such a masterful, innovative thing. And just watching it is like watching a breath of fresh air. Like somehow taking a breath of fresh air through my eyes, which is just physiologically impossible, but somehow Marvel manages to pull it off. So my overall rating for Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be a 9.24. I'm going to give it a 9.24. I think it deserves that, if not more. I can't wait for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and if you are on the fence about watching this film, you should get off the fence. You should drag your butt to the theater. You should take your kids. You should take your wife. You should take your husband. You should take your old grandmother that doesn't speak English. Take her too. She'll enjoy it. I don't think anybody will not enjoy this film. I think it's enjoyable for everybody. There's something in it for everybody. All the characters are fun to watch. And I'm just rattling on and on about how great this movie is. So if that doesn't say enough to you about the fact that it is great and you should go see it, I don't know what more I can say to you. I don't know what more I can say. Thank you for checking out my video. Thanks for checking out my YouTube channel, Dr. Remy LeBeau's Exler. If you haven't already subscribed, you're going to have the opportunity to do so in just a second. I've got plenty more film reviews coming up and some other stuff. And as always, I implore you to put an X in the box because ain't nobody checking me.
you're in love with me.